Okay, we just listened to Stain the Canvas album, All Fine, like immediately. We just listened to it a couple minutes ago, so this is our initial review based off of that. We're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll give you some song highlights and my thoughts, and then we'll go into a deeper discussion with Jordan over here and give you a rating. So this was kind of my first time with this band. I haven't heard their older stuff. I'd heard one or two songs of this on my drunken song request streams that we do Friday nights, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. And I was interested. I remember hearing the songs and feeling interested in listening to the album. And so here we are. And I will say that I really did like a lot of this. As I was saying before I started the review here, not normally the sound or genre that I listen to. You know, I like the more like straight up metalcore type stuff. This was more of, you know, me in like 2010, which is the kind of the vibe that they have on this album. I think it's very strong here, very 2010, 2012, 2013. You know, that type of evolution of, you know, what I call the evolution of like crabcore, the Asking Alexandria type stuff, you know, very post-hardcore mixed with the hard lean into metalcore. And these guys really do have a lot of that in there. There's they have the very heavy elements that I was kind of surprised to hear. There was a lot of like really actually genuinely heavy parts in here. Between the double bass in there, the high screams. I really like the high screams. The dude has some really nice high screams. If I had to pick anything out, I would say use that more, do that more. I like that. I like that a lot. Do the high screams more. I would kind of like that the vocal, if the vocals had a little bit more variation in the clean style of singing, maybe more you know, like add the falsetto, because like when they had they had a feature, I guess, of there was a girl singing on one of the tracks here, like really worked. It was a nice little balance of the clean vocals, and I would like to see a little bit more of that. They actually had they had some other features too, where the other singers sang in a high register, and it I think it really made those parts stand out, because you know it does have that Bad Omens-y, Bring Me the Horizon type feel when it comes down to the choruses, which is just not for me normally. But the rest of the music is really. So I really did like this. Some track highlights here. The intro track and the first like official track, I believe it was Hope, HXPE, whatever you want to call it, had these really nice random breakdowns that like I wasn't expecting any of this shit. I wasn't really expecting the super heavy parts to come in, especially on the intro. The intro was like this nice little melodic intro track, and I thought it ended, and then it fucking breakdown, and I was just like, what? Okay. And then it happened again in the initial track as well. So that was a really nice surprise. Speaking of breakdowns, Shine also had a really nice breakdown. Check out Shine. And Ravenous was like probably the most heavy song on here. Fitting song title. You know, that was when they like I'm telling you, the drummer and the double kick bass was like just fucking like, it had that, you know, that As Blood Runs Black, the little, you know, nice little purr in there. Anyways, and then they had Stolen Youth. I gave him a little bit of points for that one. Stolen Youth has this really interesting lyric video where it's like, it's not exactly all the lyrics or anything, but it's a lot of the lyrics through like a text chat, and you see like, it had like two features from two other bands, and so like it would like come in with like a little video clip and like some lyrics. It was just really cool. It was just like a little interesting thing. I really think bands need to use lyric videos, and so that was a cool little spin on it. So those were my track highlights. I think this band had a really cool blending of the electronics here with the guitar, and like the heavier parts. They really found a way to, it wasn't just very background. It was like, there was a lot of electronics in the background, but when like the heavier parts came in, they would blend it and would kind of like accentuate with the guitar. And I thought that was just a really interesting way of handling that. And I think these guys, like I was saying, has a really good balance of that, like Bad Omens, Bring Me the Horizon sound of, you know, the accessibility of the choruses and stuff, but with the blending of the heavier parts. Bad Omens and Bring the Horizons don't really have that heavier part. They do have heavy parts, but really not like this. And I think these guys, you know, I think it's a really big surprise that they're not bigger than they are currently. But again, they are from, I believe it was Italy. And so, you know, the marketing is just not as easy to connect through the audience of the US. And I would like that to change. I would like to see these guys or their label really push them over here a lot more, because I think they have the potential to be really big, especially with, you know, having the sound of those other big bands, but also having extra. Like they definitely have more, and so I really did like that. But other than that, I think this was a really good album. Oh, and I also should mention that I did like the ending track. The ending track was really nice, and had this nice little somber ending with the little outro and everything, which, you know, by the way, they had a bunch of interludes in here. Really nice way to tie your album together, especially if you use a lot of electronics. But other than that, I really did enjoy this. This was a really nice surprise. And I love the heavy parts. So don't lose that, please. But Jordan, what are you thinking about this?
I actually really enjoyed this. It definitely leans a lot into the more like you said, kind of evolution of crabcore stuff, and we kind of talked about that during the review, but or during the reaction. But yeah, I definitely can see like a lot of influence from those bands in that era, but still having that modern accessibility, which I feel like comes from like the production and having those just more accessible sounding choruses and stuff, which is more of like a modern thing. And I definitely appreciate that. There's definitely a lot of different little touches that they kind of put throughout, using like the intro and having like that, just that kind of weird juxtaposition between like the heavy electronics and then like the quietness and intro, and then like having those breakdowns come in. Well, I guess breakdown, and then it goes into the actual first song, and then it has like more of that. So they definitely kind of made points to look at different parts of the album and kind of switch it up and have different things going on, especially having those interludes and stuff, kind of tying everything together, like you said, and then having just kind of like a really nice flow to the album. The beginning was just very, I feel like, very heavy, but still catchy. And then as it went on, it got more accessible. And then whenever you got to like the last half, there was like one of the songs was kind of like a softer song a little bit, and then you kind of picked it up a little bit with the last couple songs. And I really think that makes for a better listening experience. You have those ups and downs, and different things that you can definitely pull out and be like, oh, I remember this song because it's at the beginning of the album and it kind of had this kind of feel. And I really think that was pretty cool. I really like the high screams, like you said, but I also like the lows whenever he did the lows.
Yeah, they had some like good layering of both too.
Yeah, it was mostly with the layering, with the high screams over the lows, but I really like that they kind of still brought in that thing, because not a lot of the bands really do that. They kind of just like, you know what I mean, how they just have like kind of the more accessible songs and then have like maybe one breakdown, but they don't really like play with the vocals or anything. They don't really like layer anything. That's more of like kind of like an older core thing, you know. I know Skylit Drive used to do that a lot, where they would like layer the highs and the screams and the singing together, and it really creates kind of a cool tone. They didn't really mix like the singing and the screaming too much, just because they had like the one vocalist. But on the songs where they did have the features, I did like that they kind of like switched off, and then they had like parts where they overlapped on each other, like the song Condemn with Telly. at the end where they had the breakdown. They both kind of screamed and both sang over the ending, and they just kind of overall made the songs really dynamic, I feel like, which is kind of like a thing with this album that kind of sticks out to me. Is just still got that modern edge to it, but it's still got those kind of like little elements that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I'd really like to hear like their older stuff, maybe see if it was heavier or lighter, and see maybe how it fits together with this, and maybe the next release could just be even better, and they could really do something cool, and I think they could really make it. So
yeah.
Hope to see.
What were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just saying, hope to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to see the what their previous stuff was, and kind of see like what their trajectory is. Though there was one negative thing that I didn't write down. That's why I write things down so I don't forget, and I didn't write it down, so I forgot. What do you think about the guitar work? I think I could have used just a little bit more riffage, like maybe bring the guitar up a little bit. I feel like the guitarist was there, but I didn't really feel him like do enough. Like, not any shade to him, I want that, because there were some parts where there was some like cool riffage, but I think if they had that little bit of a little bit extra element of the guitar in there, it would really it would also pick it up a little bit more. What do you think about that?
I feel like it was more of just the guitar was kind of part of the song, and then the riffs weren't like a focus, because some bands can really, they go too far into the riffs and it just becomes like riff salad without being a good song, and I feel like they kind of focus more on the songs.
Yeah,
the structures.
So kind of like how they mixed the guitar, kind of like what I was saying with the electronics, how it was kind of like they use the electronics a lot more as an instrument as well. So I can see that as well too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also like another like, that's kind of like a thing that like Axie Alexandria used to do. Like, people used to be like, oh, they're just playing zeros and ones, and it's like, well, yeah, because they have like the synth there that kind of brings in that melody and adds that kind of extra layer to it. So it really depends on the band and what they choose to focus on, really.
Okay. All right. Well, what would you rate this then?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's definitely pretty good. I'd definitely like to see more of it, see them get heavier, maybe just have like a straight up like hype track. I mean, they kind of did, but maybe just like a even heavier one, or and then maybe go into more like the softer stuff, because they didn't really go like super soft. Like, there was one song that had the like acoustic guitar, but maybe they could do something with that. I think they could do like some acoustic type song, you know, like
kind of like how Alisana, like when the Alisana had Apology. Was it Apology, right?
Oh,
yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, because it just reminds me a lot of that, especially with the high screams. Like I said, use those high screams more. Those were good. I'm pretty much right there with you. I think I'll give this an 8 out of 10. This was like I said, a lot higher than other bands in this similar genre, because I think they take that accessible formula and they really push it just a little bit further, and apply the more basic roots of that 2012 sound and the heaviness there, and kind of mix it a little bit better than just because a lot of the bands that have those types of choruses just don't. That's a whole nother video. So 8 out of 10. Really nice surprise. Definitely interested in hearing some more from these guys, for sure. So
I could definitely see them touring with a Skylit Drive, the real one.
OG is Skylit Drive, I believe is what they're called now. But yeah, so 8 out of 10. Great job to Stain the Canvas.